Hello, video game industry. We need to talk. Well, we find ourselves after Christmas, almost into the new year. 2020 is almost over, but our problems are not. I wanted to dive into this New York Times article because I wanted to see what journalism had to say about their investigative reporting over CyberPunk 2077. And after we go through this article and I give you my commentary, I'm going to give you a larger picture of my thoughts overall over the video game industry, esports, and as my friend put it, it's like swimming in polluted water. Here we go. CyberPunk 2077 was supposed to be the biggest video game of the year. What happened? Nearly a decade of hype led to a troubled release riddled with glitches, a livid fan base, refunds for potentially millions of players, and a possible class action lawsuit. Full disclosure, I was a contractor with CD Projekt Red on The Witcher 3 and Gwent. CD Projekt Red was one of the best developers I had worked with. They are perfectionists. And to see people that I love, that I have worked with, go through something like this is heartbreaking. I was crestfallen because I was with them during the whole hype moments. Ever since 2018, the release of more game footage, I was so on board with this game and this team. And I know the people that work at this company would not have wanted a situation like this. I don't think anybody in the industry wants a situation like this, but how did we get here? How did we get here, and why is this following the same pattern of developers overpromising and underdelivering, of developers destroying the health of their employees and breaking their word, breaking their contracts? It's one thing to batten down the hatches and work for 2 weeks or a month and crunch to get the game out. That's part of the industry. I recognize that. It's the same as when you're building a set or you're filming something or editing. Sometimes there's a crunch. But it shouldn't be the norm, or it shouldn't be so taxing that it has caused such a disgruntled and dissatisfied workforce. Let's dive into this article, and I need to give full credit to the two people that wrote this. That is Mike Isaac and Kellen Browning. And here we go. This was published on December 19th, 2020. The hype around CyberPunk 2077 had been building for nearly a decade. You're goddamn right it was. You are goddamn right it was. You remember when they had the first teaser trailer of that woman with the blades coming out of her arm and those cops going to take her down? That was really the first look at CyberPunk 2077. And for me, I was completely sold off of the 2018 demo video that I got to see at E3. And I'm going to talk more about that demo video and demo videos overall. And we're also going to talk about the Game Awards and how much that has changed for the worse. And if Jeff Keighley would just listen, it'd be better. When CD Projekt Red, the Polish studio behind the video game, announced the title in 2012, that's when I graduated college. It was billed as a gripping, free-flowing saga that would immerse players in a lifelike sci-fi universe. It did not do that. Night City doesn't feel as alive as it should, or at least how it was credited. Now, again, I'm going to give this critique and this commentary with the hope and the optimism that the team at CD Projekt Red will make these improvements down the line. And I will go back and play the game when the game is finished. I've played the first hour and a half of the Nomad, and I could feel that the game was not finished, and I turned it off, and I haven't touched it since. Other people want to continue to play and say it's a great game. Great. I'm not touching it with these bugs. I am not going to invest a single second into a game that's not ready. I don't eat undercooked meals. I don't play underbaked games. Let me say that one more time. Louder for the people in the back. I don't eat undercooked meals. I don't play underbaked games. Period. Okay, let's move on. Since then, fans have been treated to impressive teaser trailers, buy-in from celebrities like Keanu Reeves, Grimes, and A$AP Rocky, and headlines heralding it as the most anticipated title of the year, if not the century. Great. So we got all the sizzle. Not the substance. This is the bane of existence for the video game industry. There is so much sizzle for buy-in of hype and investors, but the substance isn't there. Look at the Game Awards. It has become what we hate. It has become what we hated the Spike Game Awards for what they were. Just aloof, disassociated from the real people that make the games. I mean, look at the categories for the Game Awards. They're shallow. There needs to be technical achievements that reflect the actual stations and positions in the video game industry. It's a maturity thing. I don't know why the video game industry doesn't take themselves as seriously. Is it because they keep associating and comparing themselves to film? Well, why is that? Because film has unions. Because film is established. There is a prestige to film and television because artists have gone through the shit. And they have made the bylaws and the unions and the organizations to protect as much as they can. Are there ways to do things better? Sure. But my experience through the union, my experience working on union shows, it makes a difference when everybody's on the same page. And I look back at my 10-year career working in the video game industry and I see many, many, many people that hop between company to company to company between 6 months to 2 years. I always try to stay at one place for at least 2 years because on resume, if it looks like you're jumping between companies every 6 months, who's going to want to hire you? This state of the industry, when I saw it, when I was working with it, didn't feel healthy. It was like, oh, I'm unhappy at this company, I'm going to move over to Riot. And then after 2 years, oh, I'm unhappy at Riot, I'm going to move somewhere else. And then you probably get a bump in pay. You know, everybody's got to follow their own career trajectory, but this is so different compared to the boomer understanding of an economy and loyalty and building benefits. All that wiped out in 2008. So you got to get yours and try to find the best position and keep moving. So, I mean, honestly, taking a step back, is that a healthy or unhealthy approach? To each their own, but I'm kind of tired of doing something new every 2 years. That's why I moved here, because this is the investment for the rest of my life, this house, this production studio. It was one of those things when I was entrenched in the industry, I just thought, this can't be the healthiest thing if people keep jumping ship every 2 years. Okay, so the game is set in a dystopian future today, where digital nomads navigate a high-stakes world of corporate espionage with Mr. Reeves as their guide. I never got as far to unlock Johnny Silverhand. Like I said, the first hour and a half I got to the city and I was done. And augment their bodies with high-tech weapons. Players, especially those using next-gen consoles from Sony and Microsoft, were promised a revolutionary experience with extensive character customization options and an expansive world to explore. 8 million people pre-ordered copies sight unseen ahead of its December release. So in July of 2018, as anticipation for the game neared a crescendo across Twitter, one user tweeted the official CyberPunk 2077 account, "Will there be memes in the game?" The account responded, "The whole game is going to be a meme." Yeah, it's a meme. The tweet was somewhat prescient. Damn right it was, but not in the way developers had hoped. Okay, so I'm sure we're going to go into the bugs, and I hope that they break down the history of how this game was made and what went wrong. So let's keep going. And typically, I don't read the whole articles, but because I feel this one's going to be comprehensive, let's just go line by line. Since the release on 2010, thousands created viral videos. So there's so many videos out there. There's so many highlight videos, montage videos that are very funny of all the bugs in the game. I mean, that's the entertainment factor that I got out of CyberPunk 2077 was all of these memes that were created. Tiny trees covering floors of buildings, tanks falling. I've seen cars appear out of nowhere. I've seen a car barely hit something and then it flips into the sky forever. It's nuts. So the videos depict a game that is virtually unplayable, rife with errors, populated by characters running on barely functioning artificial intelligence, and largely incompatible with the older gaming consoles meant to support it. Fans are livid. So yeah, don't play this on PlayStation. Don't play this on Xbox. If you have the newer consoles, great. I'm not even going to try to test it out on the Xbox One or the PS4 Pro. Just no, the One X. Because it's a PC game. It's a PC game meant to play on a controller. That's how they built it. That's how they showcased it. And in 2018, so turn the clocks back to 2018, E3 moment. I'm in the theater room with CD Projekt Red and I'm watching the gameplay demo and I'm thinking, this is great, man. This is great. It's going to be first person, but there's third person cinematic cutscenes to flesh out the story and flesh out your character. That wasn't in the final game. All the elements that made me captivated in 2018, that was showcased, that was highlighted, that was told to us, the potential customer, by the creator, that you will be able to do this in the game. It was not in the game. This is the biggest travesty of the video game industry, is they make these short films, they make these highlight packages, and by the time the game is supposed to be released, they've cut all that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. You know, it's annoying enough when you see trailers for a movie and the footage in those trailers is not used in the final film, and so you're a bit confused. You're like, wait, I was looking for that scene. Like in Rogue One, when Jyn Erso turns and looks at the camera and all the lights turn on, they weren't even filming. They were just rehearsing and testing a shot, and they're like, oh, that looks great. Let's keep that and put that in the trailer. And they, rewrote the ending. So you have scenes in the trailer that are not even in the final film. It's annoying because it sticks with your memory. You have an entire feature package that made the style and the look of the game significant enough to diverse yourself away from Bethesda. I don't like Bethesda games. They can be great games. I just don't like them. I don't like the narratives. I find them boring because they don't associate the character in the world. It's always through the first-person perspective. So those third-person cutscenes to me was going to continue the narrative strength that CD Projekt Red brought to Witcher. And we didn't have that. And that one feature already turned me off to the rest of the gameplay experience. Let's continue. In response to all these gamers demanding refunds, Sony has pulled the title from their stores. I cannot articulate another time that Sony has done that. CyberPunk's rollout is one of the most visible disasters in the history of video games. If you were to tell me this 2 months ago, I wouldn't have believed you, but a piece of me would have said, yeah, this is possible. A high-profile flame-out in the midst of holiday shopping season by a studio widely considered an industry darling. You were the chosen one. You were meant to destroy the Sith, not become one. It shows the pitfalls gaming studios can face when building so-called AAA games, titles backed by years of development and hundreds of millions of dollars. But that's another problem, too. The more investor class that you have buy in, the more of a committee that you have, more people to please, more people you're going to upset. Why did they release the game in this state? All right, but it's also a tale that insiders said they saw coming for months. What? Based on CD Projekt Red's history of game development and warning signs that Cyberpunk 2077 might not live up to its sky-high expectations, crushed by its own hype. The View from Warsaw. All right, let's continue. And again, if you're annoyed by me reading every word, I'm going to try to paraphrase and skip through, but this shit is my career. Why would anybody want to work in an industry like this? A lot of my friends and I have been asking ourselves that question over the last month. We have been spinning our wheels for a decade. We changed the world, made our dreams come true, and this entire industry is just stuck in this junior high level of thinking. CD Projekt Red was founded in Warsaw in the 1990s. My cat's chasing a fly. By two high school friends, Marcin Iwinski and Mikhail Kaczynski, during a time of transformation and growth in the video game industry. So this is when CD Projekt Red was translating and localizing a lot of video games, and repackaging them and publishing them in Poland. By the time school was out, we had both become true on-skipping classes to play games and an oral history of the studio. Nice. And this studio took a risk when they wanted to develop their own game, and they used, BioWare's engine to make The Witcher 1. The Witcher 1 is great. I played that game twice. I remember when I first played it, I couldn't stop. It's a bit janky. The combat system's a bit janky, sure, but the story, the atmosphere, the characters, the voice acting, they take a huge jump in production value with The Witcher 2, but The Witcher 1 always has a fond place in my heart because it was censored. It was a piece of art that was censored here in the United States of America, and they had to release the director's version later, or the enhanced edition later, and it had all of the things that were cut out for America. But I thought, wow, this is America, the land of the free, and yet we still have censorship issues. You can cut people's heads off and their limbs off, no problem, but if you show boobies, that may hurt the children, even though children get milk from that anatomy. So it's so fucking crazy. You know what? It's Protestantism. This is centuries and centuries of the Protestant movement now fully manifest in America. Early employees who spoke to the New York Times described the company's leaders as deft marketers, storytellers, and artistic visionaries. Yes, but how much is that true now? I mean, oh my God, that's such a tough thing to say. Because I love these people and I've worked with them. I've been in the same room with them. Would I work with them again? Yes. But this is like Game of Thrones level what the fuck happened. They said that their enthusiasm for their games often ran ahead of their engineering and technical prowess. The employees spoke on condition of anonymity for fear of reprisal. Yeah. Fuck. Okay, the company's ambitions were astronomical early on, as were some of its failures. In the early aughts, the company made a play to develop The Witcher, I just talked about, a popular series based on the books by Polish writer Andrzej Sapkowski into an immersive video game franchise, and damn, they killed it. And The Witcher game in 2007 was buggy, stuff with more features than it could support, 3 to 5 minutes to load basic screens. During game development, there was a general attitude of building more things himself rather than sometimes licensing other so-called middleware or supporting software. That's why when you see game at the title screen, you'll see all those logos, because it's all the supporting software. Like Mortal Kombat has all the supporting software that they use to make the game possible. Other companies with great expertise. As a result, the developers created worse versions of features that had been perfected by other companies. Oh, they perfected it. We'll do it ourselves. We'll do it in-house. You can't do it as good. A cosplayer. Come on, you know who this is. He's on Instagram. I feel bad for him. He made a short film for CyberPunk, and his short film was cheesy, but it was great. It looked great, and then it's just gonna disappear. It's gonna get drowned in the bad headlines of CyberPunk. So this is Maul cosplay, by the way. He does great work, but I feel real bad for him investing that much money into a short film for a game that didn't pan out, and it's going to get lost in the noise. Still, the Witcher series gained the studio an early following and fan base. The studio received the most acclaim for The Witcher 3, as they should. The Witcher 3 is one of the greatest video game experiences of all time and some of the best narratives you will find on the planet Earth. Witcher 3 gave me the best dating advice I've ever heard. Always be honest in the moment. I've read Shakespeare, I've read Thoreau, I've read Dickens, I've read so much. And yet this video game was able to articulate an idea better than any other art form. That's the power of art. Video games are art. Detailed universe, rich storytelling. Amen. Like earlier titles, it was buggy from the outset, frustrating players, but most fans accept. The horse was buggy. That's all I really remember. Horse and buggy. Roach was buggy. That's it. That's the only experience that I felt was like, come on, horse. But they fixed it, and they made a meme out of it. Most fans accepted what they saw as a kind of test release culture around CD Projekt Red games, a willingness to put out projects that were not yet problem-free. No. No, this is wrong. This is not correct. This is not correct, writers of the New York Times. Most fans do not accept this. Most fans are sick and tired of this bullshit. But because we've already given you our money, and you're telling us, it's going to be fixed, it's going to be fixed, it's going to be fixed, and eventually it is, that stuff's washed away. But a decade of this bullshit? No. Imagine if a movie came out and half the visual effects weren't done, and you went to the theater, well, that's never going to happen anymore, but you saw the movie, you invested 2 hours of your time, and the filmmakers come out and say, we're sorry, we didn't have enough time to fix the graphics, but on the home release version, we'll have all of it done for you so you can enjoy that. No, fuck you. You've already ruined it. I will never get that time back. I'm never going to get that time back. All those days that I put aside to play CyberPunk 2077 that I moved when it got delayed and I didn't have a problem with, I'm not getting that time back. I was crestfallen. I was heartbroken because I was lied to. I was told I was going to have this type of experience, bare minimum, third-person cutscenes for my character, and that was not the case. This has happened to us too many times. So that is wrong. Moving on. Smoke and mirrors on the marketing front. Then came CyberPunk 2077. First announced in 2012, based loosely on a tabletop role-playing game created in 1988. I never played the game. I didn't meet the creators. Nice dude. But tabletop games to me are boring. Why would you want to play them when you have electricity? Unless it's snowing outside or you're with some friends, you create all that stuff. Cool. Great. But electricity's been invented. We can play all this stuff electrically. With computers, I can do all the rolling of the dice for us. So I've played D&D. I played a couple other tabletop games, and after about 2 hours, it's like Monopoly. I'm not having fun anymore. Unless it's a real good improv troupe, then that's possible. So this game's set to be set in Night City, darkly dystopian mega city where humans and machines were fused together and repackaged as mercenaries carrying out sabotage missions against evil corps. Combine elements of sci-fi's greatest hits, Strained Days meets Blade Runner, mesh with The Matrix. Okay, ambitious. To hammer that point home, CD Projekt Red cast a familiar famous face in the game, Keanu Reeves. I was there at the premiere, the reveal of Keanu Reeves. It was amazing, but I've heard some rumors that Keanu Reeves may have been a last addition and they changed all the narrative and everything up to add him in. If they did that, what a mistake. What a mistake. I would rather have a completed game than a game that's so not ready. It's just so not ready. Featuring Keanu Reeves. All right, at a development conference in 2019, the actor burst onto the stage. I was there. One of the most electric moments I've ever been a part of when it comes to a live event. And all the CyberPunk, or all the CD Projekt Red guys behind the scenes were so excited. So excited. Let me tell you, the feeling of being there and walking the streets of future is really going to be breathtaking. Yeah, that moment with Keanu Reeves was better than the entire game. Again, crushed under its own ambition. A spokeswoman for Mysteries did not respond to a request for comment. Fuck! So imagine being Keanu Reeves. You've put your face, voice, likeness, essence into this game. And it is... God damn, that's tough. I feel so bad for all the actors that were involved in the sequel trilogy for Star Wars. Imagine your greatest wish comes true. I want to be in Star Wars. I want to be featured in a video game. And it sucks. It's terrible. It's monkey paw all over again. Inside CD Projekt Red, it was a very different story. Developers were increasingly concerned. Now here we go. Here's the meat and potatoes of this, folks. Concerned with some of the grand promises being made by management on the promotional marketing tour. Far into the game's development, former employees said the hyper-customizable and endlessly explorable world being sold to players was nowhere close to manifesting. So they are creating a front that is false. They're using buzzwords and language to make customers so excited they're willing to pay the $60 right now just to get a taste. It is based on lies. Shit. By 2019, chatter began to circulate in the Polish game development circles that CD Projekt Red was way behind schedule with CyberPunk 2077, even with a release date set for the following April. Some saw the departure of top executives, including key board members, as major warning signs. I heard about some of this stuff, but not to this extent. I just thought, it's crunch mode, or they're wrapping up development of the game, so now they're moving on. But no, let's keep going on Glassdoor, a site where people can rate their previous employers. Glassdoor is dope, but I would say trust Glassdoor 65%. You always got to remember that if somebody is willing to write a review about something, they either have to really love it or they really hate it. And the majority of people at their job just enjoy their job, or semi don't like their job, but they're not going to hate it or love it as much to write something on Glassdoor, unless there's so much incompetence you are warning people, hey, if you're going to take a job here, this is what it's like. Beautiful knowledge to have. And also, it's a good resource to know what you should be asking for when it comes to salary. Okay, current and former CD Projekt Red workers said there was chaos behind the scenes. Office rumors spreading on Discord servers. I finally downloaded Discord. Listen, I have PTSD from Skype. I've tried my hardest to stay off of Discord, but now I have my own Discord server. So if you want to join, it's Mr. Joshua Gray. And new Reddit too, Mr. Joshua Gray. Join those. We can have some discussions about this stuff. Misleading deadlines set by managers, infighting among the company's top brass, and incompetence and poor planning leading to unnecessary crunch, a term for overworking employees to produce games under a tight deadline. Longtime engineering staff left the company as a result of overwork. Fuck, guys and gals. What are we doing? How many companies do we have to see overwork their employees until all of them leave? And then they're just going to hire a bunch of new people for less money that are willing to have an entry-level job in the video game space until they realize, wait a second, I'm being paid an entry-level job, but you're asking me to do stuff that a trained professional should have been doing for years. And the turnover keeps going. And you know, all the people that get turned over get jaded, contemplate suicide, look at their finances and go, I've wasted the last 5 years. Well, I don't want to be that stark and depressing, but there is a lot of self-reflection. When you look at your body of work and realize, am I progressing? Am I moving forward? Or am I just stuck in the same place? And the people around me that are successful, how are they successful? They lie, which is what a lot of esports is. A lot of esports is a bunch of snake oil salesmen telling you that you're going to make money off of this. No, look at Ven TV. They put in millions and millions of dollars into a fancy-looking set, and all of it is a waste of time and a waste of money. The creative people that are trying to do something is not a waste of time. Let me choose my words carefully here. Because I've been part of those studios before where they bring a bunch of creative people in, they give them a budget, and they try to create content. Every single time I've seen that in the esports space, those people get burned out, the money dries up, the people that want the results aren't the ones working. It's the investor class, the non-labor force that is dictating what should happen. And they don't play the games. They don't watch the shows. They just look at the numbers. Hey, how do we make more numbers? Well, you make more numbers by owning the game. If you don't own the game, you're not going to make money in esports. Period. You can be talent. You can have an agency. You can make money on the side. And you can hop in between different gigs. Sure. You can try to make a full-time living that way. But if you want to have a stable career in this industry, you have to work directly with the developer, or you have to have your own platform, which is what I'm building here on YouTube and social media. It's very, very disheartening when you see, there's a Forbes article that I want to break down probably next week, when you see so many people that have authority or pretend to have authority in what they say, yet they have no idea what they're talking about. No idea what they're talking about. I know what a $3 million budget looks like in order to create seasons, execute on tournaments, pay out prize money for players. And I know how to build a show that was so good it made it to network television. Nobody on the planet has done that. Nobody on the planet has done what I've done with the team that I have. That is an encouraging thought, but it also further articulates that the whole paradigm shift of media has changed so quickly that even I, who thought, I don't really want to be on YouTube, I want to be on television, to where television is dead, YouTube is the place to be. That happened within my own career. And I was on television back in March, my 15th, 14th appearance. So do I say this to blow my, to my own horn and blow up my own ego? In a way, yes, but because I've done the work. I've worked through the trenches. I've had the meetings. I've built the budgets. I've executed the shows. And it's a fucking nightmare. It's a nightmare because it just seems that people get so burned out that they leave and go somewhere else or find a different job, and then new people come in, they get paid less money, and they keep repeating the same mistakes. This We Play tournament over in the Ukraine, great tournament, but they repeated a lot of the same mistakes that we've seen for the last 5 years. Any tournament that has a budget like that has to have telestration and slow motion. If you don't, it's tough for me to take you seriously. But then I remember, these people don't come from the FGC. They come from a business holdings company that's trying to mass more funds in their investment of this business transaction and combining a lot of data analysis and technology into this center, into their sphere of influence. So all it is just marketing money. It's marketing money. So how does We Play make their money back? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to make their money back, unless it's with business dealings or something on the side. But endemically, intrinsically, the show that they put on is not going to break even. It's not going to break even. So they have to have some sort of outside funds to make that show work. And that is the biggest problem with esports is because that show is going to disappear in 3 to 5 years because the money's going to dry up because they're not making money. If they can create a business program for their studio that they actually make money, have a return on investment, and break even on their tournaments or make a little bit, then they're in a healthy spot. But if you don't own the rights to the game, and if you're not selling merchandise, and if you're not having hundreds of thousands of people tune in and super chat and all sorts of stuff, you're dead in the water. You're dead in the water. I bring that up in the midst of this article is because people that work behind the scenes in esports knows most of it is bullshit. Most of it is bullshit. If you want other people in the space, like him or not, rough around the edges, Richard Lewis, he broke down all the struggles that Counter-Strike is going through. And as somebody who produced and hosted on every single esports title that's out there, I have produced, hosted, or commentated for. Infighting, creating tournaments today, and people getting sick with COVID. A publisher that's aloof and isn't connected as much as they should. Valve has always had a problem with that. You can just feel the struggles. You can feel the sense of we're over the bullshit. It's time to move on. And this incident with CyberPunk 2077 for me was the straw that broke the camel's back of I'm not going to be part of these hype machine bullshit, let's make the investors happy companies anymore. All right, moving on. Delay. This January, the owners treat the company as a machine to earn money and do not see employees as people, but more like data in the table. Data in the table. It's like, hey, we're going to put all these shows together and we're going to do it all for these numbers. Oh, these shows are going to be 8 hours long, 3 days, back to back to back, and we're going to give no breaks to our staff. That's illegal. If you do not offer a half-hour break for every 3 to 4 hours of broadcasting, you are to be shut down. I have been part of shows, even at MLG, where I worked a whole day and got no food, no breaks for $200 pay over a weekend. Now, that was starting out, even though I was going to college, and I have a bachelor's degree in acting, in doing this profession. So you just get to a point where in your own career, you realize this is wrong. And when you're in a leadership position down the line, you're like, I'm going to make sure people have food. We have breaks, our broadcasts. What I did for the pro competition and what is now the standard for Final Combat is during the day, you have the majority of your bracket. Then everybody takes a break. Then you do your top 8 finals. It's the best schedule if you have to have a long marathon type of day. All right. It's wisdom, folks. It's wisdom of actually lived it, of living it. And there's so much wisdom in so many of these employees that are just overworked. If they could collectively get together, organize, and create some sort of union, would that prevent this type of bullshit from happening in the future? That's my biggest question that I pose to you, and let me know in the comments below. Let's keep going down this article. Delay. This January, CD Projekt Red tweeted that the game's release had been delayed until September 17th. Still work to be done. The coronavirus pandemic caused everybody to work from home. I get it. Remote work would not hurt chances of September's release. This is a lie. Why would you say this in order to please investors? Oh, hey, all the tools that we have at our studio, and I've been to their office, all of the office meetings, rooms, all the in-personal connections and meetings that we have to get rid of emails. I mean, there's so many times I'm like, listen, no more emails. You and I are going to talk face-to-face right now for 5 minutes. Cut through the bullshit. Body language, articulation, so crucial. So for them to say, oh, hey, it's not going to hurt our chances, I believed them. Executives eventually announced further delays. So the game was pushed to November 19th in order to fix a lot of bugs, and then it got pushed back to December, when honestly it should have been pushed to 2021 or if not 2022. You only get one chance to make a good first impression. Inside CD Projekt Red, as executives and communications staff geared up for a wide release, the problems were evident. They had created a functioning game for PC, but it was glitchy and crashy on next-gen consoles. The game barely ran on older consoles. So typically, game developers send early copies of new titles to reviewers with ample lead time. CD Projekt Red kept this game title under wraps for as long as it could. Not a good sign. It only shared advanced copies of the PC version with gaming publications and news organizations, previewing the best possible version of CyberPunk to reviewers who had posted ratings online just days before the game release. And guess what? Do we get to trust those people anymore? I've already gone through a purging of YouTubers that I found to be grifters. I mean, so many of them that I found like-mindedness when it came to their frustration with Star Wars. Now that Star Wars is back and better than ever, they're continuing to grift. Unsubscribe, 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 unsubscribe. If they want to make their money being negative, go for it. But I don't want my body of work to be talking about negative headline over negative headline. You're like, what are you doing here, Joshua? You're just bringing down negativity. Yes, because we got to get some positivity out of this so this never happens again. Years of anticipation down the drain. All right. Oh, God, Gamescom. Gamescom's so crowded. For months, reviewers, including those at the New York Times, tried to obtain review copies for the new game consoles released by Sony and Microsoft this year, but they couldn't get it. Stephanie Bayer, spokeswoman for CD Projekt Red, said, in previous email correspondence, the company will hold off sending our console codes until close to launch so they could send them securely. That never happened. Lie! You lied, Stephanie! Early reviews mentioned some issues with bugs, but the impressions were largely positive. Excitement continued to build until the game was released on Thursday, December 10th. Eager fans were thrilled to finally be playing the game for the first time. Ashley Chote, a DJ in Northville, Michigan, said she was amazed at the detail on her PS5 and loved the ability to customize her character literally to the teeth. Ashley, the customizations for this character were lacking, but I'm glad you had fun. Then came the bugs. Miss Chote said it was impossible for a character to complete basic tasks like running, dodging, picking up weapons, things you need in a first-person shooter. Steering a car was so... when I was driving, I'm like, this doesn't feel right. Steering a car was so challenging that she felt like she was drunk driving. Don't do that, kids. On one mission, Miss Chote had to sneak up and kill an enemy with a katana sword. I'm bringing a knife to a gunfight, so I've just got to be on my P's and Q's. I can't even do that. She said it's almost unplayable for the time. She shelved the game. Yeah, I really thought it was going to be that level of top 3 game ever on a new console. She said it's very disappointing. Bill Marty, an account executive at a software company in Austin, Texas, said he bought into the high expectations and the commercials with Mr. Reeves. Playing on his PC, he loved the storyline and missions, but was often frustrated by glitches that made his character stand up while riding a motorcycle or forced him to backtrack to an earlier save game. Some of his friends said he decided to return. Some of his friends returned Cyberpunk. There was so much there, but they just didn't pay attention to the details. It's evident the game was rushed. The details. The details. How can you release something like this? Why did nobody from leadership come in and go, we're not releasing the game. We're going to get sued by our investors. Fuck them. They're not the ones making the game. It's such a vacuum of leadership, folks. It's such a vacuum of leadership in this world. So now every developer who worked on this game is going to feel like shit. You get what you pay for. All right. Almost as soon as the game arrived, players began posting screenshots of the most glaring glitches on social media. Entire subreddits are now devoted to the frequent nonsensical bugs. Yeah, that's the most fun I've had with this game is watching the bugs. Characters going into a T-pose, standing with their arms raised to either side and suddenly losing their pants. Users unready to describe the phenomenon as straight Donald Duck in it. Bloopers include characters being flung through buildings seemingly out of nowhere and cars exploding for no reason. Yep, that's what I've seen. The non-player characters or NPCs act so unnaturally that they can ruin the gaming experience. And then, this is 2018 gameplay trailer. This is when I was hyped. Like, all the NPCs have their own lives, the own AI, and this is what happened on PlayStation, man. Look at this. I mean, I get it when you have to scale down graphics. It's fine, but just don't release it on the original console. Just don't even release it. Just don't even release it. Jesus. Just don't even release it. One Reddit user posted a video of him throwing a grenade into the middle of a freeway at rush hour, only to see every NPC open their car doors, leave their vehicles, and crouch for cover simultaneously. I was choreographed by a professional dance troupe. What? La La Land. Yeah, I love La La Land. I don't think I've ever seen a game have this many gaffes this often, this early into a release, said Chris Pearson, a video producer who runs Highlight Reel YouTube show dedicated to video game bloopers and glitches. Broken games can be super charming when they're funny, like you're seeing the strings on a puppet in a bad movie. But yeah, not like this. Most players are pretty unhappy. Sony said it would refund people on Thursday. PlayStation spokesman said the company had nothing further to add beyond its decision. Microsoft would issue refunds, but it's not going to remove the game from the online store because Microsoft prefers to keep the relationship with CD Projekt Red because they are Windows and PC. All right. CD Projekt Red said Friday that it would refund disappointed players out of our own pocket if necessary. You're goddamn right. The company's stock has dropped 41%. I was this close to buying stock. This fucking close. Glad I kept it in Alaska. I don't have that much. I have enough to sell it all here in a month or two when I'm out of money and going, all right, I'm broke. I already am broke. Miss Bailey, the company spokesman, declined to comment on a detailed list of questions provided by the Times. Oh, I got some questions. Inside the studio, there have been infighting and finger-pointing in a contentious meeting with board members on Thursday. CD Projekt Red staffers press executives on the game's unrealistic deadlines and false promises. Management was tight-lipped about its tense discussions with Sony, Bloomberg reported on Friday, though people at Sony are upset at CD Projekt Red's initial handling of the situation. People close to the company said, of course, everybody should be upset. This is a time to be upset. The immediate future looks dark for CyberPunk's makers, perhaps even darker than the future they built in Night City. Refund requests are pouring in by the thousands. Lawyers and investors in Warsaw are circulating the situation, contemplating a class action lawsuit against the company for what one attorney described as potential criminal misrepresentation in order to receive financial benefits. Many gamers are swearing off playing CyberPunk entirely until the company fixes all the problems. I'm one of them. The coming weeks will determine whether CD Projekt Red can make good on a promise it made back in 2017 when players wondered whether the title would ever come out. Worry not, the company tweeted, assuring fans that Cyberpunk 2077 would be huge and story-driven. No hidden catch. You get what you pay for. Wow. All right, there's Mike, Isaacs, and Kellen Brownie's backgrounds real quick. Thank you for this article. Thank you for attempting to shed some more light. But, of course, on their initial reactions, it's going to be, well, they're not going to want to comment. I think about the people that have worked so hard in front of their stations, be it the effects, shaders, environments, music, dialogue, all of the time and effort pouring into this game. And in your mind, you see the vision. You see this mansion of an experience, and everybody has built the rooms, and the bricklayer and the plumber and the electrician have all done amazing. But the person who poured the concrete for the foundation fucked up, and now the whole house is going to collapse. Doesn't matter how hard the plumber worked, how hard the electrician worked, the carpenter, the people that laid the concrete, the foreman, the leader who is supposed to make a specific mix to hold all this weight, all these rooms, all these promises. It was the wrong mix. It was shitty concrete. He lied to the rest of the contractors, subcontractors, and to eventually the person buying the house, us. We were lied to. So where do we go from here? This is what I'm trying to capture on this channel. It is so easy to talk about the bullshit that we are going through because it is immense. Where do we go from here? CD Projekt Red will probably be sued for misrepresentation and should create the new benchmark, just as they did for creating a great game. It should create the benchmark of what never to do again. And the positive growth out of this dire situation would be some sort of collective representation for all game developers. A list of 5 things. 1, work days will consist of 8-hour days, period. 2, no crunch. Leadership will create a time scale and a time schedule that makes sense for the employees. 3, games will not be announced until they are at least 80% complete. And you have to give it at least a 4-month window. That's what Mortal Kombat does. They announce the game and they say the game's coming out in 4 months, and it releases, and it's good to be released. And there needs to be a collective power amongst all the developers that their voice matters more than the shareholders. It's the shareholders that don't care. They don't care what this will do to the video game industry. They don't care what type of trust this will erode for all publishers and platforms, Sony included. That's why Sony took this game off their marketplace. We will not lie to our customers. We're going to allow refunds. Sony that never does that. And finally, what is this really in pursuit of? What are developers really trying to do here? On one hand, you had an amazing amount of momentum and trust built from the Witcher series that brought in a lot of optimism and hype and goodwill towards the publisher, towards the developer, which was in such stark contrast of all the bullshit we were getting from Activision, BioWare, Bethesda, and others. But it came to a specific day. Why this game had to be released by the end of the year is beyond me. I have heard rumors that there was investment contracts from the state of Poland that the game had to be released. But we are in the midst of a pandemic. And we're also in the throes of a new generation of consoles. The decision this game will be released on all generations, on all consoles, and it just was wrong. So many wrong decisions from leadership. And I wonder if development was telling them, no, why are we doing this? It's not going to work. And leadership said, we have to make it work. We have to make it work. Well, you trying to make all this stuff work ruined everything. So we, as a collective video game industry, need to go back to the core idea of, 1, the game has to be done. You can't create all this hype and anticipation and fake business, but that's really what capitalism has become. Fake business. Hype, 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 buy into the stock, and if the game's not ready, we'll fix it down the line. I'm over that shit, bro. I'm so over this shit. So directly to CD Projekt Red, listen, I still love you guys. I do, because I have a lot of great memories working with you, but how can I help? What can I do? If you need me to call somebody and just rant at them for an hour over the phone, just for catharsis, it would be nice, but where does that leave us in the end? No, we need solutions. We need solutions. We need solutions to prevent this. So I think of a union. I think of some sort of collective voice of all the developers saying, we're done. We're not doing this. I mean, imagine if all the developers went on strike in November. And they're like, hey, we're gonna delay the game to December 10th. And all the developers went, nope, listen, you have to delay the game until it's ready. And if you're going to get just leadership, it is way better for you to take the fall and say that you overpromised and you overcommitted rather than let the entire company and all the developers and all of the fans and everybody that really believed in this. This really sucks, man. This really fucking sucks. All right. Well, I mean, there's so many montage videos and details of why this game didn't work out. But let's take a breath. Let's take a step back and just think about the video game industry as a whole. We have dealt with the microtransactions, the mobile movement. It's all cash grabs. Make money, make money, make money, make money. And that's what people outside of esports think that esports is a cash grab. It's worth all this money. No, it's a marketing arm of the game developer to try to sell more game titles or more in-game items within the game. That is how the economy works in esports. If you are not attached to that economy, either as a contractor working with the developer, as a content creator streaming and creating content around the game, or as a player making a salary or prize money off that game, or production, listen, you're not going to buy a house off this stuff. And when dumb money comes in, about every 2 years, dumb money comes in, or a bunch of investors come in and they overpromise and underdeliver. Or they overpromise and they do deliver, but the audience doesn't tune in because it's not authentic. People would rather see somebody broken authentic than rich and lie to them. And that's the overall nature of where we are today. Do you want to keep believing in lies and overhype, overpromise and underdeliver? Or do you want to be legit? Create a great experience and release it when it's ready. That is the role of an artist. That is the role of a performer. That is the role of a storyteller. You tell the story when it's ready to be told. Investors, shareholders are not storytellers. So we storytellers need to make a stand and stop this bullshit from happening. Or continue to be in this immature viewpoint about video games. Think to yourself, this is great, but it's not as great as film. It's already overtaken film when it comes to money and the amount of money that comes in. Learn from what other media endeavors have done, looking at unions, looking at rights of the workers, and hopefully this catastrophe will allow our industry to have a paradigm shift and to start taking this way more seriously and really treasure authenticity. All right, this was a long rant. I know we read an article here, but I'm over this bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. I've been working in this industry for 10 years, and I've seen so many of my good friends burned out, and so many people that don't know what they're doing be rewarded. You know, I see failure rise upward. And that's one of the reasons why I told myself I can't do esports full time anymore. No way. Still do it part time, still a lot of fun. But yeah, well, thank goodness that Mortal Kombat's a great game to play and that it's finished. And other games that I've been playing have been StarCraft 2, amazingly enough, and World of Warcraft, games on PC. I haven't played PC games since The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 was the last PC game that I really dove into, and then it was consoles for a while. But it's nice being back on PC, and it's nice having a lot more games at my disposal to check out. But wow, what an end to 2020. What an end to 2020. If you enjoyed this rant, if you would like to add anything further, leave a comment down below. But one final message I have to CD Projekt Red, I'm still rooting for you. I'm still rooting for you because outside of this horrible, horrible setback and situation, I do hope some people on the leadership side are fired or take serious responsibility. There's a lot of great potential still at that company. And when it comes to The Witcher 4 or whatever endeavor is down the line, I look forward to it, but I really hope they have completely changed their nature when it comes to building a game. Build it first, then hype it up, and then release it. Don't do it the other way around. Video games and video game awards shows and events shouldn't be short film festivals, which is what the Game Awards has become. It should actually be recognizing, admiring, celebrating, and enjoying all the facets of the video game world. Thank you so much for tuning in to this crazy rant. I'll see you online.